What if Yu-Gi-Oh ended right now?
YugiNoNo!
King prepare! Alright guys, real quick before we get into the discussion, I'm going to be giving away yet another cloth playmat this week. 2 mats in 1 week, you guys are way spoiled. Of course, all mat giveaways are brought to you by metamats.com, made by us, designed by you. And if you want to enter in to win this Stay Salty single player mat, then go ahead and leave a like on this video, comment down below, then go to the Facebook page and leave a comment on the thumbnail to this video and say that you want to enter in to win a mat, or say whatever you want. Say something funny, I don't care. But mat winners are picked at random because I like to keep everything fair. I literally just kind of scroll on my phone and then just wherever I stop, I pick a name where it stops, and that's how I pick the winners. I mean, I wish it was more elegant, but it is what it is. All right, so on to the topic of the video. What would happen if Konami decided to stop the show and stop making Yu-Gi-Oh cards right now? And this is not going to be one of those videos going, Yu-Gi-Oh is dying. This might as well be making fun of all those other Yu-Gi-Tubers that make those videos. And that is because right now, if Konami were to stop Yu-Gi-Oh completely, just dead in the water, just stop. Even if Konami stopped making the show and stopped making Yu-Gi-Oh cards right now, Yu-Gi-Oh still would not be dead. So in this video, I'm going to be explaining why with 3 simple facts that would happen immediately after Konami stops making Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And the first one is obvious. There would be no more Yu-Gi-Oh cards. There would be no more new archetypes. And in my opinion, that is just fine with me. I think we already have way too many archetypes. There's just already so much stuff to remember, and having them not continually piss out more stuff for us to remember would just be actually kind of great. I've had the stance for a long time now that Konami already has created too many archetypes, and they have not created enough support for the archetypes that they already do have. And as a result, we have all of these like forgotten archetypes that never really did anything relevant in the meta. But if there was this constant rotation of support for different archetypes, then every archetype would see their day in the sun at one point or another. I mean, that wouldn't be the case for every single deck, because some decks are just way too old. Some decks are just, way beyond support unless they get something just outrageously broken. But for the most part, decks that have been made in the last few years, all of them have a lot of potential, but just have a huge lack of support. Am I Italian? So without Konami just pissing out more and more archetypes to bog us down, we would be searching through tins, going through all of these like neglected archetypes that have been released to us over the years, and we would be looking at them and seeing what we could make out of them. And that actually leads up to the second thing that would happen. There would be multiple different fan-made formats. Like there would be a more modern Yu-Gi-Oh format with like a fan-made ban list that would be completely fair. And why it would be completely fair is because it wouldn't be motivated by money. Konami has a long track record of banning cards and unbanning cards to suit their needs to sell different sets that have really good archetypes in them. Off the top of my head right now, all I can think of is when Burning Abyss came out in Duelist Alliance, they unbanned Tour Guide. They unlimited Tour Guide for that archetype. But you get my point though. If there's no money behind it, then there's no reason not to create a completely fair ban list, which would not only like limit the power of completely OP archetypes, but would also bring back some older archetypes. Some Yu-Gi-Oh decks are purposely left on the ban list so they pose no threat to the current metagame. Wind-Ups, Shaddoll's, Nekroz, Insector, Cleave, I mean, think about it. In their prime, all of these decks were super powerful. And if they were unleashed on the current metagame, they would have a huge impact on it. And if you could play cards that you already have, why would you buy more cards? That is just another example of why money defines the ban list. Now, not only would we have a more fair modern ban list made by players and probably hosted by some company like ARG, for example, because if you would remember back, they did have their own ban list at one point. Do they still have their own ban list? I can't even remember. But we would also see a huge rise in legacy formats. And of course, by legacy formats, I'm talking about Nekroz format, a Dragon Ruler format, Goat format, 2002 format. I mean, the list goes on. And it's just inevitable that players will migrate to different formats that they like to play back in the day, or maybe they just have the cards for them already. We have already seen time and time again how Goat format has lived through the years and has been like a fan favorite format for as long as I can remember, really. And if Konami were to stop making cards right now, it would probably still be the #1 fan favorite format. That's going to be like probably the main format that people will initially migrate to. And in my opinion, it would be a lot of fun to be able to look back and innovate all these different formats and play them out, and maybe even discover that the best deck at the time wasn't actually the best deck. Like in Go format, Go Control was obviously like the dominant deck back in the day, but a deck called Beast Down or Zoo Beatdown, whatever you want to call it, looking back, that might be the best deck. And Beast Down is a deck that was created just a few years ago. The same thing could probably be accomplished in Dragon Ruler formats or Wind-Up format. I mean, just look back and see what you can can create. At the very least, looking back at card pools, you should be able to create something that's at least very competitive. And that is because Yu-Gi-Oh formats go by so fast, sometimes we don't get time to really sit down and look at cards before we just jump to whatever people are playing. Now, looking back at innovating formats probably can't be done in a format like Pepe format or Zoo format, because those are hard tier 0 formats and there's really not a whole lot you could do. But there are many different eras of Yu-Gi-Oh looking back where there is a lot of room for innovation. Now, the third thing that would happen, and this one you should be really excited about, the value of all of your cards is going to go way up. And that is because Yu-Gi-Oh cards aren't being printed anymore. All Yu-Gi-Oh cards are going to be worth more because it's going to be like a dead card game essentially. Plus, without Konami reprinting all of your classic cards, like let's just say you have an LOB First Dead Blue Eyes White Dragon. If Blue Eyes White Dragon had never been reprinted, or let's just say had been reprinted once or twice at the most, it would be worth a lot more money. But because Blue Eyes has been reprinted in every single rarity, even common, it really does make the value of your card go way down. I mean, it will always have more value than other prints, except for like DDS Blue Eyes, for example. But what I'm saying is it would be worth way more if it was never reprinted at all. The same can be said for Exodia, Dark Magician, even Red Eyes Black Dragon, all fan-favorited cards that are from the original anime, as well as other fan-favorited cards like Stardust Dragon from 5Ds, for example, would have more value if they were never reprinted at all. Now, I'm not saying that reprints are a bad thing whatsoever. Reprints are actually really necessary to keep the cost of the game way down. All I'm saying in this video is if there were no more reprints, your cards would be worth way more money, especially like prize cards. Imagine if Minerva was never reprinted. You know how much more money that would be worth? I mean, the original prize card Minerva is still worth a lot of money, but most players would rather buy the reprint, you know what I mean? So those are like the three main things that would happen if Konami stopped making Yu-Gi-Oh cards right now. And in all honesty, all of that really doesn't sound too bad now, does it? The only bad thing would be like new players trying to get into the game, and like all of these prices have gone way up, which would make us lose a lot of new players. Actually, new players would just cease to exist altogether, most likely. Which brings me into what would happen if Konami ended the show. I'm pretty sure that the show brings in more players than like anything else that Konami does. I know that's what got me into the game early on, and several other YouTubers that I've talked to, and really just about every player that I've ever talked to watched the show as a kid. So without kids being exposed to Yu-Gi-Oh through the show, then there would be no more new blood coming into the game. Which means if Yu-Gi-Oh stopped completely right now, it would eventually die. It would die slowly, but it would eventually die. And that's because without new blood coming into the game, if Yu-Gi-Oh ended right now, the current newest generation of Yu-Gi-Oh players would be the last generation of Yu-Gi-Oh players. Unless, of course, somewhere down the road, you know, Yu-Gi-Oh regains some sort of like retro popularity or something. But the point of this video is if Yu-Gi-Oh were to end, you know, all of a sudden end, if Konami just lets the game completely go under, it wouldn't be the end of the world. It wouldn't be the end of the game. We would still have probably a few good years left of the game before it just completely fizzles out. We would have all these different card stores and companies and stuff, you know, hosting all these events. It would be a lot of fun initially. Plus, we would have a wide variety of formats to choose from on top of a very fair modern format. But yeah, guys, that is going to do it for this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I have a new skit coming out for you tomorrow, and I actually made a new Discord server today, so if you want to check that out, the link to that is down in the description. Also in the description is the link to my Patreon, PayPal, and of course my Facebook page where you can go to enter in to win this mat. I can't wait to see all of you guys' reactions to tomorrow's video. It's gonna be really, really good. But until then, be sure to dick slap that like button and subscribe.
Subscribe.